Hello again and welcome back to the Microlearning Institute. In this short tutorial we look at the concept of governance, particularly as applied in the role of projects and project management. First of all, let's look at what does the term governance actually mean. And governance entails oversight to ensure that the directors and the managers of an organization act in the interest of the organization, and also that these managers and directors are accountable for their use of organizational assets. So typically in a project governance environment we have the following project structure. So a project might have a number of teams. Here we see team A and team B. This could be the development team, and this could be the testing team, for example. And within each team we have roles like team leads and we have team members and so on. And each of these teams work together in order to deliver the project. Typically, various project teams report into somebody who has the role of project manager, and this project manager and their teams sometimes, though not always, are supported by a project management office. A project management office would typically be a centralized office that would supply resources, be they human resources or templates and structures or consulting advice to support the activities of the project manager and the project teams. Very often, the project manager reports into a project sponsor, who again is not involved in the detailed day-to-day activities of the project, but who provides guidance to the project manager and maybe who lobbies on the project manager's behalf at senior executive and management meetings. That project sponsor then can also be supported in a governance framework by a steering committee. So this diagram reflects, many of the elements that are involved in the governance of a typical project. Now, of course, not all projects have all of these elements. Some projects may be deemed to be of a small scale or not strategically significant or not financially valuable enough to warrant all of this infrastructure, whereas other more strategic and valuable projects might be warranted to be serious enough to warrant a lot of this project management and project governance infrastructure to be in place. So let's have a look at the various roles in project governance and see what typically they entail. Firstly, let's look at the role of the sponsor. And the project sponsor is a manager or an executive within an organization who oversees a project and delegates authority to the project manager. So as we've said, the sponsor isn't involved in the detail of the delivery of the project. That's the role of the project manager, but the sponsor has a role for overseeing all of that. Again, the sponsor generally provides the project budget. So typically the sponsor is a member of the senior management team of the organization who has budget authority for the project. Similarly, the sponsor has significant authority and adequate authority to direct all the staff involved in a project, or as many as possible. And the sponsor has sufficient authority or influence to get the cooperation of key stakeholders. So across the organization there may be other stakeholders, and the sponsor's role allows him or her to influence those on behalf of the project when necessary. The sponsor typical role would be to approve the plan for the project, to approve the schedule, and also to approve the budget allocation for the project. And again, the sponsor will be typically tasked to ensure that the project is aligned with the organizational strategy, so that the project is consistent with the strategic direction of the organization, and that it's compliant with any policy initiatives being taken on by the organization. Again, the sponsor monitors the effectiveness of the project manager. So again, if the project manager isn't able to deliver in certain aspects of the project, the sponsor may choose to step in to make some adjustments in that regard. The sponsor's other role is to remove any roadblocks to project success. So if there are issues around resource availability or time availability, the sponsor can lobby at senior management level to remove these roadblocks. Also, the sponsor approves significant changes to the project scope, the project timeline, the project budget, or the quality deliverables of the project. Next, let's look at the role of the steering committee. And again, the steering committee typically comprises a group of senior managers who are responsible for business issues affecting the project. These senior managers may have budget approval authority, or they may make decisions about changes in the goal or the scope of the project. And these are the highest authority to resolve issues or disputes. So any issue around resourcing or timing or budget that impact the project, ultimately the final decision typically rests with the steering committee. Steering committee, their role is to ensure the project is aligned with the organisational strategy and that it's compliant with policy. They assist with resolving strategic level issues and risks. They approve or reject changes to the project with a high impact on timeline and budget. And again, they assess the project progress and they report on the project to senior management and higher authorities. Finally, they provide advice and guidance on business issues facing the project and use influence and authority to assist the project in achieving its outcomes. They review and approve the final project deliverables also. Next, let's look at the role of project manager. The project manager has overall responsibility for meeting project requirements within the agreed time, cost, scope and quality constraints outlined in the project plan. The project manager reports to the project sponsors who have delegated their authority to the project manager. The project manager provides direction to the project team, provides status reports to the project sponsor, liaises with the risk committee and the change control committee around any new risks or any significant changes to the project scope. The project manager very often attends steering committee meetings to provide detailed inputs to the steering committee so that more strategic decisions can be taken. And the project manager ensures that the project plan, the schedule and the budgets are up to date so that at any point the steering committee can make an assessment of the project status. Also, the project manager detects and manages any variances from the financial budget or from the schedule or from the scope that's planned to be delivered. Thank you very much for watching this short tutorial from the Microlearning Institute on governance as applied to project management.